Good evening, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans, Speed Gaming Live fans, and you know what? Heck, anyone else who's swinging by to see what this mega race is all about. I am Shumbabi, and I'm your host tonight. And tonight we have two simultaneous 1v1 matchups. On the top of the screen, we have Duskplume facing off against LuffyDV in Pod B. Luffy has a best of three wins against two opponents, and is currently up 1-0 against Duskplume. So should Duskplume be defeated tonight, Pod B will be locked in place for the round of 8, sending Luffy and Pickles and Beer to the next round of the tournament. Should Duskplume win tonight, they will be forcing a Game 3, which may ultimately spiral into tiebreakers and madness. And on the bottom of the screen, we have a very similar situation with Chanigan up 1-0 against DarkmoonEX. Chanigan is currently 1-1 in his matchups, and so a win tonight would place him as the second participant from his pod to advance, with Sir Linkalot already claiming a guaranteed spot in the round of 8. If Darkmoon should win tonight, we face again a third match at some point, which might ultimately spiral into tiebreakers and madness. So, speaking of madness, you might notice that these players have opted for total madness in their party selections. Fighters were available, thieves are available, and I hear they had some decent stuff. And in an encounter, a flag set with all encounters as being runnable and low stat scaling, thieves make really a lot of sense here. But they opted for black belts and white mage, which sounds ridiculous, but we have Harm 3, right, at level 1. And so Harm 3 is going to be a full sweeper here. White Mage can cast Harm, and it will attack all enemies, regardless of typing. So we have what we need to get off the ground, really. Like, that was the biggest concern here for all of our runners. It looks like they were memeing on each other, but in SGL, I mean, we have some black belt seeds that are really, really great here. So let's see, it seems like a very quick encounter off the reset. It looks like a lot of steps at first glance, but what actually going on here is that there are some free encounter zones that our runners are stepping on. So our first encounter is only, not some good imps here, but that's not really what they're looking for. They're looking for, if I can't find a grind tile for this black belt, am I going to be able to find it somewhere in a different encounter zone instead of having to just use a suboptimal spike tile. So we have standard stuff here coming out the gate. Darkmoon is checking chests and Toph already. Luffy doing the same thing, although opting to go up first. Our other runners look like they're taking a couple of early levels, which I don't disagree with. It's really interesting, though. Sometimes you'll see there's a pretty split opinion as to whether or not we should be checking these boxes in Toph, because it's about 20 to 30 seconds out of the way. And I know Chanigan is a fan of, if he feels a little behind, he's going straight to Garland here. I don't know what Duskplume is going to wind up doing. I haven't seen much of them. We're going to see our Ruby and our Canoe. So, in most cases, not really what you want to see so quickly is that Canoe, because that would disincentivize a ship right away and might force us into a very early ice cave or volcano. But all runners are pretty much going to be following the same order here. I don't think we're going to see anybody going to Dwarf Cave and then taking the Canoe down to Elfland. It makes sense, go to Provoca. Maybe we have our ship. Even if not, we have guaranteed pirates for levels. We have another shop to check for an item. So, standard stuff as we open up this match. Alright, so here we get a taste of our pirates, who all seem to be getting a turn in. But that Harm 3 should be coming out at any point here. There we go. Luffy also about to show us the pirates. Okay, level 9. on Chanigan's side, and there's our canal. So we don't have our ship, so that will be at marsh, volcano, or ice, or at least led out from there, from fetch quest there. Darkmoon wrapping up Garland. Just doing some shopping in Provoca, and then we're going to get going. So those silver +3s are going to go a long way in protecting the party, at least until the black belt catches up in levels. But when you have 2 party members, right, this black belt is going to be almost a solo machine really quickly. All right, so opting for going around to the Ice Cave River system from Provoca, not walking to the left, but does seem to be heading towards Volcano. So interesting. I'm curious if that's going to be strictly for trap tile checking purposes, if that's going to be really diving in, grabbing that key item, seeing what it is, and then getting out. Because I don't think at this time, right, at level 9, we're not looking to take on carry. Darkmoon catching up with the pirates, Luffy going to Matoya, checking some boxes. A blue D-tile. This isn't the worst, but at this level you're not taking it. Blue dragons tend to have a lot of evasion, so it's not something that we really want to take if we can avoid it. But I gotta imagine Chanigan's doing a cheeky check, but he's also looking for this key item, right? Like if we find out that this item is, I don't know, perhaps the slab or something, right? We can just say, you know what, I'll reset out. I didn't find a trap tile. Let's take this with an airship. We'll come back here. But you also have to be able to make it down there. I don't believe we have exit. I didn't see what level 2 white was. I was a little distracted in how this was being restreamed back to me, but apparently it was coming out fine on the channel, so I apologize for the minute or so that I was muted, but it seems we have Invis and Mute and Fog, but no exit. So this is an incredibly bold play. Either he's looking to get the item in and out, or he's looking for trap tiles. But either way, it's a pretty big commitment of time. The fact that he's digging out treasures here leads me to believe that we're looking to actually walk something out. Duskplume almost caught in the river system. Those hydras are going to be super scary. Ooh, rewarded with a ribbon right away. That is very free. I expect all of our runners to be able to grab that. Earth is not what you want to see on the Agama tile. Luffy finds dragons are nothing to mess with, and Duskplume opting to go towards ice. So we're going to see which of these is a more important check, as long as both of our runners can get down there. Now, neither one obviously is going to have warp with a black belt and a white mage. I saw on Luffy's screen a stick just popped up. Was that a roost stick? Chanigan going down, finding that a seafood party pack is not what you want at level 9 with only harm 3. Taking a page out of Deadpulse's playbook, though, with once you make a bad decision, double down. Actually checking to see if the blue dragons are worth taking at this level. If we can get a couple of levels, right? If they rolled down, harm 3 takes us out. That actually seems reasonable now. You take this to 21, you kill off that white mage, you take the black belt up to 32. Now carry is kind of a joke. That, unfortunately, is not a joke. So Chanigan seeing that it's possible to take this blue dragon out, but also finding out that it's going to cost a lot to do so. So Darkmoon is instead opting for the Elfland play, finding harm 4, finding Protect 2, which I believe is Fog 2. So Harm 4 is going to do a little bit more work for us. Nothing really in level 4 magic. So you're not looking for a tremendous amount here. Like, your black belt is going to be effectively its own wall. You'll throw a ribbon on the white mage when you find it, because everybody's going to find that one unless they're really going into go mode by the time they get to Volcano. Did we have an eye tile on Duskplume's side? I did miss that. So that would be the one that everybody's looking for. Unfortunately, it's not a safe tile. And Blaze coming out of these Burr Wolves, which, by the way, love the renaming of the Frostwolf to the Burr Wolf. It's not ideal. None of these grinds so far are really ideal, and with such a quick encounter off the reset, I kind of want to just grab a floater and check the desert. So, seeing the Scorpions on Darkmoon's side tells me that there is a blue stake in the pool. So that is something to look for. If our runners should check by Lefane or in the desert tiles, there's going to be a blue dinosaur tonight. How deep into the encounter table, who knows? Luffy getting the good-ish news that there is a poisonous eye. That is a chonky eye. Yeah, I don't know that that is the, get ready for this one, ideal grind right now. But it is a grind, right? And Luffy's gonna start to take it, unfortunately. And then find out that Frost Wolves are gonna undo his grind, and he's gonna feel really bad. Yeah, good luck with that, turning this restream around. I own this restream. This is my night. Alright, so what did we actually dig out of Marsh? I missed that. I imagine Darkmoon got something. He's not at 11 minutes walking back to Elfland having not been to Marsh, is he? I'm having too much fun looking at these mad lads with their grinding and their just diving and diving and diving. Darkmoon might just come in and sweep this entirely. Well, everybody's coming out tonight. Yeah, there's those Hydras. They are not fun. I can't think of a single time where I enjoy bumping into a Hydra on the river system. Mute coming out of the Wizards. That makes it also not so great. The only way that this eye doesn't hurt Luffy right now is if he can actually take it up to about 42. And is there a willingness to do so with no scaling on the XP at this point? Because if he opts to go really much lower than that with a solo black belt, we're going to have some issues with a lot of the things later on in this cave. Oh, yikes, we're going to have some issues with the eye. Casting Blizzard and fast. That is bonkers. Luffy is now questioning all life decisions. The blue dragon is looking like the slightly better grind. Yeah, none of these are the best, but Duskplume does get a crystal. Now, can we get it out? I'm gonna say no, based on that. So, now the madness of these parties is coming into play, where it's not as outrageous as it seems at first glance that we take a black belt and a white mage here, right? You're funneling XP on what happens to be a very quick flag set. Theoretically, especially finding this blue dragon so early or the eye so early, like, we could get a 42 black belt by like the 25-minute mark, and then it's just walk through the game. The problem is getting this grind off the ground, which should have been, or hopefully could be, mitigated by the fact that our incentive items are the Thor hammer and the white shirt, which could re-roll into literally any spells. I believe everyone has wiped, yes. So, Whoop getting on out of here. We've got some Wraiths on both screens on the right-hand side. Now, as a reminder, those right-hand runners are not actually against each other. We've got Luffy and Duskplume against each other for their pod, and Chanigan and Darkmoon are racing for pod A. Chanigan seems pretty committed to this Blue Dragon grind. Yeah, that is a very evasive Blue Dragon, and that Iron Staff isn't doing what he wants it to do. Darkmoon getting news that there is an eye, and he knows that every party has been Black Belt White Mage because they kind of, before the game started, goes, "Do you all want to do this craziness?" And they're all like, "Yeah, we do." So having that kind of intel is actually really important from a racing perspective, because given the fact that there was a fighter and a thief in the pool, it does make sense that many of these runners would have taken at least a fighter and a thief, perhaps with a black belt, but definitely not exclusively a black belt. And so that eye in what would have otherwise been a fighter or thief seed doesn't seem as important, but it does give you the information that if my opponent took a black belt, like, they're probably getting a grind going somewhere. Alright, so that Blue Dragon goes down again. Whoop is almost 21. At 21, that's going to be a huge jump in survivability, and mostly as a result of being able to knock down the Blue Dragon in fewer turns. And if the Blue Dragon keeps missing, that would be great. Luffy opting not to go towards the eye, wants to see a crystal here. Duskplume still wasn't able to walk anything out. All of our runners probably came into this pretty confident about, like, yeah, I know how to run a black belt, I know how to run a white mage. Like, yeah, I might have a couple of hiccups, but it's not outrageous. And then I got to imagine that some of them are sitting there going, oh my god, it's 16 minutes, I still haven't grabbed an item beyond Bicky. Luffy finding the Agama in the 6-pack, having decided to just, like, move a little bit more, finds the second best possible grind. A heal 3 bonk, which is going to be actually incredibly useful, just to keep the party up until that grind gets going. And if that Agama doesn't have anything nasty that we haven't seen, that's actually a really, really good grind for him. Oh, but that's nasty. So we do have a Sleep Touch on the Agama, because of course we do. Oh, poor Chan. Sleeping on the job, can't run. Should have just named it Shum. It would have been out of here. Alright, Duskplume taking on Mummies and Burbs. Another one of our clever renamings. I love this flag. I actually should start running with it. That's changes it up in a way that just makes you get a smile on your face. Although I would like Frost D's to be renamed the Snowman. That would be, I think, a nice little inclusion there, too. Chanigan finally deciding, you know what, Elfland might be worth going to. Especially with 37 grand. We have some Doctor Who fan in the house. What up? Are you my mummy? Nope. Those are the mummies that belong to the Burbs. Some very, very inexpensive houses here. Which I have learned to call inexpensive instead of cheap. I made the mistake once of going to a one of those discount suit retailers and asking what's the cheapest suit they have, and they corrected me immediately. We don't have cheap suits, we have inexpensive ones. So be careful who you're calling cheap around here. Those are some inexpensive houses in that item shop. I can feel the eye rolls coming through the screen already. So Luffy almost at the drop down. It appears that Duskplume is not just burning encounters, but seems to actively want that encounter. But if that is the case, I think, is that not off the hard reset immediately? So this is the excitement that I felt we were in for tonight. I'm so glad it is. Riveting that we are watching the black belt grind. I know that there's a lot of discontent in the community around black belts and their presence in tournament flags. I think that this flag set in particular is really, really balanced around you could take either party and really win. The black belt is the more guaranteed finish should you get into Topher and already have the levels, but it is a very high risk, high reward. I think that fighter seeds, or when we have the opportunity to draft a fighter and a thief party, I have been finding those to be more consistently quicker. But a black belt does allow you to say, yes, I'm making this time investment, but I'm guaranteeing that when I get to Topher, it is a one and done, unless there's some crazy 3 and 256 nonsense happening. Heard that the guy who made the flags is, in fact, at least of average intelligence. And moderately tolerable to look at. In all seriousness, though, these flags, they have grown on me tremendously. I think that they started out being like, who wants tiered shuffle? Who wants to go through what winds up being a very linear feeling progression here, right? Like, we're always kind of trapped in the inner sea for the first 15 minutes, and then we go out to explore the world, but there's not really much exploration because the fetch quests kind of hold your hands through it. But what it winds up doing is creates an environment in which there is a handful of plays that you could make a decision that really, really helps or really, really hurts. But it does, on the whole, mitigate variance across the seed, right? So sometimes, like, if Ordeals was not required, but you had the choice between going to Ordeals or going somewhere else, maybe to, like, go to Earth Cave to fight Lich and turn into the Sages, now that's going to cause some divergence in the running. But ultimately, these seeds are very, very direct. Luffy getting the unfortunate news that Ice Cave was not necessary at this time. So after 22 minutes, still not finding progression, I'm real curious if Floater is going to be, or I guess the ship maybe, is going to be in Marsh Cave. Seems like a good place for it to be. Especially with me having talked about how linear these things seem to feel. It tends to place that early progression in a reasonable spot. I do believe everyone skipped Marsh except Darkmoon, who wiped out of Marsh and decided, you know what, let me go to somewhere else in the Inner Sea. It doesn't make sense to go to Marsh. I understand why they all skipped it, especially with Harm 3 being available, and then Harm 4 as you touch Elfland, but once you get Harm 4, and once you're at Elfland, rather, like, I think Marsh becomes the play. You're already at this point, you might as well take the few extra steps. Chanigan is finally confident enough to make his way down the volcano again. So Chanigan and Luffy are going to show us some progression somewhere. It has to be in one of these two spots. Whether that is a ship or a crown that leads to an adamant that leads to a floater, something like that. That's fine. I think that our runners prioritized the ability to check multiple trap tiles over the ease of the dungeon. Because they were gaining levels at quite a solid clip here. I think that the right play is to, like, statistically the right play is probably to go to Volcano and just dig the item out and then check the trap tiles, because you're already checking the Aghavan tile right here. You can check the other ones kind of on a redive. This one is still scary as heck, though. Can we get out of here? No, we cannot. So Luffy gonna tell us, is this actually our progression? Although even if it winds up being... Ooh, it is not. That Thor hammer turned into a Fog 2 hammer. So progression is 100% locked behind Volcano, which is locked behind that Seafood Party pack. So this might just be grind to 42 before you come on down. Or look for some items while you're on Agama floor. Perhaps you find that nuke stick or fade hammer or something. I'm not sure you're going to keep... You're not sure that you're going to be able to get around the fact that that pack is ambushing, but we will see. And Luffy now has the news, of course, that, like, progression must be in Volcano. There's nowhere else for it to be. Darkmoon trying to do an eye grind. Duskplume again coming to Ice Cave. You know, it's... This madness of the Black Belt White Mage is... It's not too bad when you think about the fact that, like, even a fighter thief party might have been having trouble with this. So Chanigan does get the ship. Now, do we fight Carry? I think at this level we probably could, without too much worry. But if Carry has some sort of, like, instant kill spell, that's gonna feel real. Oh, but we got Carry coming. Let's see what we got. Punch goes out. 8 hits, 406. Okay, that should take 2 hits here. And there it is. So with our first Orblet at 26 minutes, Chanigan has taken down Carry, has got a grind off the ground. Feeling really good about that ship, I'm sure, but also hasn't seen the fact that Marsh is a nothing and that Ice Cave isn't necessary right now. Did get the canal. I think that the play has to be, I have the Ruby, let's turn both of those in, right? Let's get Titan, let's get Sarda. Those are guaranteed checks, and I don't have to take a single black belt into Ice Cave and Marsh Cave. Oh, thanks for that. I didn't realize. I thought Fiend 1's, thought Tiamat 1 had Bane, which could shuffle into the pool. But I stand corrected if I am misremembering. Here we're going to get some information from Titan. Apologies to the other 3 runners that I am focusing so hard on Chanigan's screen. He is the one that's moving us along. The rest of you all just punching an eye. Or, in Luffy's case, just kind of rehashing what we just saw, so... Not too much going on yet. Do want to find progression, though. A rod would be nice. Oh, and there is a rod. So go figure. At the point where, I mean, with a Black Belt and White Mage, I suppose you're not checking many chests anyway, but not even checking those free chests for a ribbon or an opal bracelet or something doesn't need anything, right? We have 1 ribbon already. White Mage has it. Black Belt's going to turn into their own ribbon. Sarda has the adamant. Curious to see. I mean, we have the levels on a Black Belt. Do we go straight to Lich while we're already here, or do we try to take the adamant to the dwarves? I would hate to have to come back to Melmond Continent just for the sake of killing Lich to then get the floater from the sages. But I guess it shouldn't take too much to go out of the way for the dwarves. But we are guaranteeing an item by taking out Lich now, it seems. Burning the first encounter, burning a second encounter. Luffy getting the good news that there was a free ribbon. Snakes are running away. This is a good time. Spiders are running away. We're good. I'm not sure that Luffy is in a state to take on Carry, but knows he just needs the ship out of this space. Doesn't know that there are sea trolls, lobsters, and sea snakes guarding it. ADR trying to derail this commentary into a food conversation, which I am here for. I am kinda hungry tonight. I made my kid some pasta with tomato sauce at his request, and then that was what I had for dinner. And I wouldn't mind peanut butter brownies right now. So yes, if you could share with the Discord server, that would be great. So Luffy opting harm 4 down this pack. That is really good heads up run and harm 4. I love it. He might actually get through this and oh, of course he's gonna run with 2 of them left. Doesn't get the XP, does get the ship. Just walk this out. Heal up first, because your black belt has like 30 health. Please do not take Carry. I don't want to have to call that again. Oh boy. We're going to Carry. We got that Fog 2 hammer. We've got Invis. All we're hoping... Oh, no, okay. Realizing the white mage doesn't have temper, we're not going to take on Carry. I really like the reconsidering there. Chanigan on Lich, however. This is going to be our second Fiend down in one punch. Back on the topic of peanut butter brownies, though. Are we talking about, like... Now, I feel like I'm in a minority here. I am a fan of dry brownies. I don't like the gooey, fudgy brownies, but I wouldn't mind if there was a peanut butter sauce that was like... I don't know that I want to call it creamy, but I also don't want chunky. I want like that peanut butter sauce that you can get at Carvel. If that was like smushed into a dry-ish brownie that I then had ice cream on, I think that I too would gain 10 pounds this week. Reese's peanut butter chips. Okay. Styling on those brownies. I like it. Alright, so Darkmoon getting out of Ice Cave at 32 minutes, gets the crystal, going to find out the magic news that the crystal is not necessary while you're walking. Chanigan finding a sleep shirt from that adamant turn-in. So those are our 2, I can now call them dud incentives, although that was a white shirt. I'm not sure that well, he's not going to be promoting, let's be realistic here. But I suppose if you wanted a white wizard to wear it. So Chanigan now also knowing that this has to be, well, probably the crown. I was going to say it has to be the floater, but really it just has to be something that leads to the floater. And I have had more than my fair share of sages handing me a crown in this flag set. Let's see what we got. Oh, the floater. How nice of them. So kind, right here. So we don't have a bottle. Right? That takes away immediate checks. We don't have a slab. That takes away immediate checks. So now we're stuck making a decision. Do we take Ordeals or do we take Waterfall? Because you hate going to Onrak Continent twice. And he has not been to Ice Cave, although here we go. We're in Ice Cave. We're going to get that crystal that's going to lead us to Oxiel, which might also bait him into Onrak Continent. But we don't have a key to dig out that second floor in Sea Shrine. So there's a lot of minor divergent gambling that can happen here. I'm curious if he's going to check these trap tiles to find that eye. is not. Not going to find it, not going to know that the other runners found it, but also not really going to need it. He has a blue dragon tile he's comfortable with. Darkmoon is in a really good position now, too. At level 33, going to just walk in, grab the key items, and punch carry down. Luffy, getting the adamant from Sarda, going to find out that that's not really what he wants. Turn the rock into a plant, turn the plant into a shirt. Makes sense. So far, our runner is just doing things we've already seen. Duskplume now taking the same steps, about to hit the same pack that Darkmoon is on. Darkmoon opting to have fought his way through this tile. That is an interesting choice at single-digit health to not try to run at least. Chanigan back in the air, talking to Matoya. Let's see where we go here. I'm curious if he's comfortable with his levels right now, or if he's going to want to just do that cursory check on any of those desert encounter zones. Like I said, I'm like 99% sure that there is a blue dinosaur in the pool here, so I would have gone immediately to check those. He hasn't checked Marsh Cave, right? This is where we're going? Yeah. We're going to reset right out of that. We don't have a key either. Yeah, that's the problem, right? It's the almost easy choice to go to Onrak Continent, but you don't want to go there, go to Waterfall, find out that it's like the loot and not the key, and recognize, oh no, Ordeals was really my play there, because that was going to ultimately lead me to the key. This is a very interesting set of items that we've received so far. I very rarely have seen the incentive gear be so early in the pool. Oh, you are correct. I forgot that Ordeals is not actually in play without the crown. I'm not used to getting it so late, and if we don't see it at the item shop here, we're at Gaia, which might be the... Do we see the Gaia item shop yet? Probably doesn't want to stop into Gaia without having the bottle, but it is yet another check that's fairly quick to make that would allow us to just grab a key, for instance. So checking the on-rack shop. Not getting what we need here, just getting some heal potions. Hoping then that the key is actually with the robot. Otherwise, we're coming back. Luffy on Earth 4, about to take down his first orb. Second Fiend Dungeon, but first orb, which will ultimately give him his skyboat. Just all these nice little random encounters. It's kind of quicker to just punch him down, but also, why? Why would you have to? Black Belt is well within chaos range. Okay, so Darkmoon stepping into Volcano himself, going to ultimately get the ship, hopefully. Maybe a little bit more prepared for that Sea Troll pack. Lich not going down as quickly on Luffy's side, doesn't have the levels quite yet, but will be rewarded, like I said, with the floater, so we'll hopefully find some levels somewhere. There's the bottle. That's going to send us back towards Gaia. That'll also give us our shop item. I cannot see a case where the runners are not checking TFC here. I haven't worked it all out in my head yet, but I think that the way this is currently laid out is that the loot is going to have to be in Sky or Deals at this point. It could be very off base on that. But I think that we're going to have to take TFC to get there. So doing Kraken while we're already here. I mean, it's not the worst. It feels kind of moot, especially if you're going to have to be coming back. Why not just come back if you have a couple more levels anyway? Luffy getting the bad news that Adamant was worthless, but is going to boat on over to Crescent and grab a Skyboat. Duskplume getting the Adamant. About to get the same news, although hopefully going down to take Lich also. And Darkmoon getting his item. Can we get it out successfully? I love how the tracker hasn't clicked it yet. There we go. Oh, do we get it out successfully, though? Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We're taking on carry, but we have a level 30-something black belt. I think that we are getting this one out. We've got Fade coming out for almost 300. We've got a Punch not doing much, and another Punch on his side doing all the work. So Darkmoon at 40 minutes and 50 seconds, lighting his first orb. Duskplume, unfortunately, the only runner on stream right now without an orb lit, but is in a position now to take down Lich. Has a black belt kind of in go mode. I was going to say bro mode, but definitely using female sprites here. Alright, so Luffy in the sky. No diamonds, just Luffy in the sky. R and Kylo. Followed by a red stake and a wings. Looking for that overworld grind. Doesn't like the eye grind that he saw. I don't know if he really... I think he caught the blue dragon and knocked him out really quickly. I'm curious if he remembers it's there. Or even if he does, if it's worth taking in his world. But that's a pretty good encounter. I would check the other tiles. It's not that far to make that kind of check. Alright, so from our bottle, we get a crown. Go figure. Did we have a shop item? Did I miss the shop item? Lab. Because of course, why not go all the way across the world once you're already there? You're right, it might not be a ship in a bottle, but they did definitely say ship it all the way across the world. So we got the slab turned in. We can now understand them. Chanigan and Duskplume giving a high five to each other. Darkmoon turning in that very disappointing crystal. I don't know how much I can emphasize that it is a very disappointing crystal when you don't have an airship. Looked like the cube, if I read that quickly enough, but we'll find out soon enough because Astos goes down in again at one punch. Yes, that is the cubby. Now all we need is a Chimmy and we can go over to Mirage Tower. So it's looking like Ordeals now is the play if we're going to have to take that crown somewhere. Although I guess the slab does turn into something. Do we take Ordeals? Yeah, it looks like Chanigan's going straight toward... Oh, nope. Is going to turn in the slab. Right, it does statistically make sense. Let's turn in these guaranteed checks first. Make sure that we don't have to do something else. It's going to feel real bad if this happens to be the key, but it is what it is. TNT. Because we haven't seen them go through enough torture tonight. Why not again send them across the world? Luffy punching worms down. Don't hate it. Darkmoon getting his rod, and then going to Sarda soon. Oh, undoubtedly this will be the tail. Why would it not be? I'm hoping it's actually the key, and then he spits in the face of the dwarves and says, you know what, I don't need your treasures here. It is not, it's the chime. So, we're definitely digging out Sky. Also, I do not advocate spitting in the face of your lovely dwarven companions in the dwarf cave. You know what Sky does actually provide? Sky provides us with another approximately 5 minutes of entertainment as we watch them click the A button on quite a few treasure chests. It also does guarantee that Chanigan will light his 4th orb, but will need the key and the loot. So I think we're going back to at least one other location. It's going to be Onrak or Ordeals to find the loot. So I'm curious, actually, someone remind me to ask him in chat, if I forget, if he's taking these fights because he wants a 42 black belt or because it's just quicker than risking the run. Because in that case, obviously we run from this 8-pack, but in the case of the guards, I think I agree with punching them down. I would want levels here as I'm climbing up to Tia. It's my last chance to kind of get something going on. Duskplume making his way out of the waterfall. Sorry, making their way out. We have Darkmoon going into Earth 4 real quickly. This is going to be a very quick lich on that side. Right now, we obviously have Chanigan in the lead, who took that much earlier grind much more successfully, and then got progression immediately. But we have the other 3 runners that are all in a very similar position with 1 orb, and then kind of bouncing around for fetch quests, bouncing around for levels. Darkmoon actually seems positioned maybe the best out of the 3 other runners, but it's unfortunate Darkmoon is exclusively actually against Chanigan here. And Chanigan, I believe, has a pretty healthy lead here. Sky 2 is always an interesting one to watch how people do. I think a majority tend to go to the left. I heard some rumors that there are people that go to the right to combat this, because if it happens to be on the right, then you have some cheeky earlier checks. Chanigan opting to check 1 treasure chest and then going to the more statistically significant Sky 3. This is a play that I am much more a fan of. I will 100% of the time do it if I have a Black Mage with Warp. If I'm missing that, then it becomes a little less... I don't know that I want to have to go back to Sky 2 otherwise. I don't know that I also forego that luck act. That seems like a reasonable pickup, despite the fact that the black belt is going to have such incredibly high crit in this flag set. I kind of want to guarantee that I'm not dealing with super evasive fiends here. So Chanigan getting the bad news that it is in one of the boxes that he doesn't actually want to check. Well, returning to on-rack, unfortunately, is not an option without the key, which is very likely behind one of these. Right, we have a key, a loot, and a tail. The worst case scenario, I suppose, would be figuring out that this is the key, and then going back to on-rack instead of ordeals, and then finding the tail. But if this happens to be the loot, then we know for a fact that ordeals is the play, and we can finish this game. This is the most ridiculous last box ever, and it is unfortunately the key. So, Chanigan does not know where he has to go next. Going to make the guaranteed play, but Darkmoon is going to show us hopefully what's in ordeals. Oh, nope. Bonking off, realizing, oh no, early ordeals is not on in these flags, and we have yet to find the crown at 50 minutes. Which is very atypical. Right, so now he's going, what haven't I done? And the answer, I believe, is talk to the sages, right? You just beat Lich. No, crown's not going to be in TFC. We do have the crown. The crown was given to us by the fairy. Darkmoon going, oh no, are there northern docks? I have the Oxyel. What am I missing here? And it's sages. Sages is the key here. We weren't able to talk to them until Lich was down, and then they are going to open up our progression for us. Luffy opting to take the eye again. J-Man, not guaranteed that loot is in TFC. Loot could still be ordeals, right? We haven't seen what comes out of ordeals. Alright, so Darkmoon about to get his good news. That his world has just opened up. Duskplume about to get their not so great news, or maybe it is. Maybe this crown is absolutely necessary. I guess it was, right? Astos had the cube, so definitely needed that crown. Fairy being useful for once. Medusa's with the worst script ever. That black belt completely shrugging it off, though. And we've got another party in the air at 5210. Duskplume now turning in. I believe they did translate. So we have the TNT. A lot of running around in this one. If nothing else, our runners are learning optimal pathing around this world. Tiamat leads with sleep. Whoop leads with a 540 damage punch. Tiamat follows with hold. Whoop follows with goodbye Tiamat. So Chanigan has now officially lit all 4 orbs, has the key, looking for the loot. I so badly want to see him bonk off the loot plate, but he's better than that, right? We know that we have to check this key. For my sanity, I am hoping it is not the tail. That it is, in fact, the loot. So that way we can get a little glimpse as to what Topher has to offer us. Luffy now level 28, definitely behind the rest of the field here. Also a little bit behind on progression, I think. Taking an earlier grind probably pays off a little bit more in this flag set, and yikes, it is a tail, so almost everybody will be making that check, followed by ordeals. which, of course, is everybody's favorite last location. So without warp, inevitably what we're going to have is like a top, bottom, 4 bottom or something. Ever the optimist I am. No, let's just do a one and done. Just go like top, and then boom. We're at the staircase. All right, we've got inside. Oh, good. At least the 4-pack is the earliest. Feels a little better than when it's the last one to have to play pick a pipe. All right, looking good so far. Nope. 2 bottom top. Bottom. Did that do it? 2 bottom, bottom, top. There it is. That's our actual path. Whiz mummies and cockatrices. Not a bad tile with a party. Chanigan disinterested entirely. I don't need those boxes. I need a bassoon. Not quite a 1,000-year-old string instrument, but I'll take it. I believe a bassoon is a reed instrument? Is it a double reed or a single reed? I don't know. I don't play in the band. I was an orchestra kid. A flautist. I was the superior string instrument, the viola. Love it. Alright, so at 56-ish minutes, Chanigan is in full-on go mode. I imagine that white mage gets brought up just for the safety. And then we get to see what Topher has for us. Looks like Luffy is taking this eye pretty high up. We're going 42. We are saying, you know what, we're at 56 minutes. I just want to walk through Topher when I get there. Alright, so we play the bassoon. We go to the right like a scrub. Who goes to the right? I can't with this people going to the right nonsense. Punching Lich. 10 hits, some obscene amount of damage, and Lich 2 goes down. We have Carry 2, affectionately titled Kelly. Kelly, not seeing anybody's manager tonight. No, that's a Karen. I suppose we shouldn't be. Name shaming. We have Nuclears coming out. Kraken. Oof, 5 hits. That Lockaxe would be really nice if he were still around. 2 turns, that's all it takes for Kraken the Squid to go down. Tiamat tries to punch. Does nothing. Get out of here, dragon. You're dragging us down. Chanigan healing up. About to take on Chaos. We don't need slot 3. We just need to punch you in the face. Oh, Will Ruse. Interesting. And a good call, given an initial punch from Chaos and a secondary punch from Chaos. Way to heads up play. 8 hits, 875. 7 hits, 500. Now we're at 13 and change. 1375 and 270. We're at 1645. And another 972, and we are at GG for Chanigan. So this locks Chanigan in as a winner in Pod A, I believe. So top 2, he will be advancing with Sir Link-a-Lot. And I believe I am joined here in the booth with Chanigan. How are you, sir?
Hey, not bad. Pretty
How did that
decent. Okay-ish. just the 2 wipes, I think, early on.
Yeah, those
were
volcano wipes were not great.
Yeah.
I think everyone encountered
seafood,
at least one.
yeah, that seafood party platter was just not cooperative.
No, I'm intrigued as to your logic on going to volcano over ice cave initially.
Volcano has a few trap tiles early. That's all.
That's what I was figuring. So why volcano or ice cave over marsh cave? Is it just a proximity play at that point?
Yeah, proximity. I don't like marsh cave anyway, and ice cave too. So I'm just I'm here. Let's do it. And I think it paid off with the. I got. What did I get in? I got ship, then left to Sarda, got the rod, then did the lich, then got the floater from Sages. So my routing was pretty good for that.
Yeah, I think of all the runners, your routing just naturally led you to make what ultimately wound up being the right choices. We had a couple of people that tried to go into Ice Cave, found the eye tile pretty quickly, actually. It was a vanilla mage tile.
Okay.
But I saw that you walked straight through it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't need it anyway with the blue Ds with barely, not even 300 HP.
Right, I was really happy to see that you tested that, because if they rolled down, that does seem like the perfect grind to get started, and you definitely did that. I saw Luffy tried to take the eyes at first, and then they had something nasty. They just have a lot of health, and they had fast and heal 3. Then wound up on Agama's. Duskplume encountered some frost wolves with blaze in Ice Cave that took them down.
Wow.
And I think Darkmoon had a couple issues all over the place, really. In that seafood pack, and Marsh Cave somehow bounced him out also. So yeah, it was that blue dragon is really, I think, what set everything apart, is that the other runners saw it and were like, nope, I don't need a blue dragon, and you were like, let me see.
Yeah, it was just in case they rolled pretty down and not that evasive.
Right, when it hit for like 70, I was like, maybe that's worth taking.
Yeah, and I had the I think an iron stick +4 on my black belt and was doing decent damage. I'm like, I think at level 14 I can remove it, and I just keep messing it up. Remove the weapon too early. Cost me a few 1 or 2 wipes there. My grind was not that efficient, but once I got, I think, level 18, that's when everything went off.
I wouldn't say it was wildly inefficient. It was the only grind that we saw that was safe, I think. Luffy started his grind. Finally, when he got into the air, he found some sandworms. But otherwise, everyone took a slightly unsafe version of a grind, which did not really pay off for anyone. Darkmoon and Duskplume, I believe, are both just sort of walking through the game at this point. Their black belts are high enough, but they took about an extra 10-15 minutes to get off the ground relative to you.
Yeah, for that grind, I was hoping finding the wooden shield in Elfland. That's why I went back. I went to Elfland to check the armor and to get heal pots at the same time, but especially for wood armor, because the black belt had wood adept. So that's why I bought the wooden armor. I
did miss that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it had wood adept. I didn't see anybody explicitly looking for that, but that explains why you spent some time in the armor shops.
Yeah.
Curious, as you went into Mirage, you were taking some fights. Was that just because you wanted a little bit of extra XP, or it was quicker than running?
A little bit of both. I wanted level 42 for tough. So I'm like, nah, while I'm here, and a few of those fights are just quicker to do by just killing the enemy. So
Makes sense.
that's a bit, yeah, that's why.
So Duskplume about to show us if they can take this down at 39. That is gonna be a tight squeeze here. I know that Chaos hit pretty hard. Kraken was evasive, but doesn't seem to be so evasive that we can't get through it. As long as we heal up, I can't see there being a huge problem here. Barring some sort of spell that we didn't see that might just knock them out immediately. Fade comes out for 92. Nothing from Tia. 7 hits, 531. Not as big of a punch as we saw on your screen, but should get the job done. Big punch, big fade. Not so big fade, really. 93. But that is a bigger punch, and we're good to go. Curious if we move them around, maybe get some Ruse casts off or Invis 2 from a slot 1 white mage. But Chaos hit pretty hard on that black belt, so not something that we want to see. And we didn't really get to see a whole lot of script because we had only a couple of turns. 5 hits, 375, so we know Chaos has somewhere under 2600 health. But definitely more than 1600. So now we're at about 800. Fire 3 comes out, not really too much of a risk. Another 550, so we're at 1350. This might do it. There we go, terminated Chaos. Get your GGs in chat for Duskplume. Finishing second on stream, but first in their match. And that means that we've got a game 3 in Pod B. LuffyDV and Duskplume now tied 1-1. We'll take this to it's a best of 3 series, so we'll take this to a game 3. And then the result of that will determine who gets to advance or if there's going to be tiebreakers. But right now, as was stated before, Chanigan, you are moving on to our next round, right, with Sir Link-a-Lot, having gone 2-1 in the pods. And I believe now we're joined by our second on-stream finisher, but first finisher in their race, Duskplume. How are you doing?
Oh man, that was a fun ice. It's always fun. Ice is always fun.
That's one word for it, sure. So what's going through your mind when that's happening, right? Like there's so many things going wrong, and then after all of that you dig out the crystal, which you recognize isn't actually progression.
I mean, at that point, it didn't matter so much to me what the item was. I saw the eye tile of my initial run through there, and I was just trying to work it out in my mind. Okay, how am I going to make this grind work? This has to be my grind. I'm not going anywhere else. This is it. And it took about 10 minutes of faffing about, dying, finding frost wolves with blaze and all that, and be like, okay, I'm going to leave, go to Elfland, hope they have houses. They do. Get those houses, go and grind on the first level of ice until I get to like 16 or 17, give me enough survivability to go through, get the item, come back out, go to the eye, and hope I can grind it, which I did. Didn't see Blizzard until a lot later, thankfully. That was enough to kill the White Mage finally.
That was the nasty, I forgot. I knew there was something in that script.
Yeah, there's Blizzard and heal
Fast
three
and heal 3
and fast. Yeah, just a lot of fun stuff, but not enough to the point where it's going to stop me from getting to the level I needed to. And with all the time I spent there, I only went to 32 because I thought if I go to 42, it's probably not going to work out for me. It's going to be too much time spent there because I've wasted 10, 12 minutes here already. So I just went to 32, hope that was going to be enough. And it was.
Yeah, that was. I'm glad that you were able to get through that Topher. There were a couple of spots where it could have been a little bit of a hiccup, and at which point I don't know what you do to come back and say, where am I getting my extra levels? But fortunately, not something we had to explore there.
Yeah, thankfully. I mean, I think it was 38 or 39 the black belt was at that point. I wasn't gonna try and get to 42, even if I did wipe once or twice. At that point, I'm over an hour in. I have no idea how close Luffy is to finishing, so I'm just gonna keep bashing my head against the wall and get through eventually.
Yeah, this really came down a lot to who bashed their head against the wall first, and got a grind off the ground. So Chanigan decided to take the blue dragons in Volcano. I don't know if you stumbled upon them and decided to take them, or to not take them, or just didn't happen to see them.
No, I didn't see where those were. I'm guessing that those must have been Armory or Agamatile or something like that. Because I just went straight through and found the seafood party pack with only my black belt up at 33 or 34. I didn't think I was going to be able to run, so I just decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and punch 70 of you and hope I don't die, and I didn't.
Yeah, that is bonkers, because everybody else saw that pack and instantly died. At least once.
Ah, lucky me, I guess.
So, Darkmoon hitting some nasty in Sky, but I don't think we saw people. Poisons and Fire 3s coming out of those sorcerers.
I think he's trying to get a Warmech. Yeah, I think that's what the Darkmoon's trying to get.
I am almost sure that there is a Warmech in the pool, although we haven't seen one on stream.
Oh no,
I think Duskplume had one, yeah.
Oh, I missed it then.
Yeah, that's what got me to 39.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah,
it almost really didn't work out. Both the black belt and the white mage were down to 100 HP at the end.
I apologize. I was looking at Chanigan's Topher at the time, I imagine.
Oh yeah, that's all good.
But yeah, that was based on the encounters. You can kind of tell that there should be a Warmech in this pool, but it does feel kind of bad to keep walking back and forth to try to find it. Luffy picking up the air orb, going over to Kraken, who we haven't taken down yet, but we do have a key and a loot. Interesting.
That was another feel bad moment where you had 2 checks left after getting the key from Sky, and it's like, well, I got the key. May as well go ahead and go to Sea Shrine. Nope.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're making that walk of shame.
Oh, I saved right in front of Mirage Tower, so didn't need to walk back.
Oh no, same here. But just the walk of shame of landing with the airship and walking all the way to Ordeals.
So, out of curiosity, what party are you taking if you don't buy into this whole black belt white mage nonsense?
I was about
to both
take,
of you,
yeah, I was about to take 2 fighters, thief, and a white mage.
It was going to be thief and white mage, and I wasn't sure between fighter and black belt because that fighter was absolutely loaded, but black belt seems to be just better overall in general in these seeds. At least that's what I've found. But luckily the decision was made for me when everybody decided to go full stupid.
Again, not full stupid, right? Like 58 minutes, 105, those are not like bad times for SGL flags.
No,
the seed had the potential to be a little better, but
it certainly helped to have Harm 3 right away.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is what I was hoping for. I'm curious if you guys decided to all randomize the items in the pool. Is that correct? Just had Bert pick 2 of them for you.
Yeah, that's something else decided on early on. It was just brought up like, hey, we can get all 4 of us on stream and I'll run the same seed if you all just want to randomize the items. It's like, well, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's much easier to convince yourself, I think, of taking a black belt white mage solo or duo party when you know you have caster items in the pool.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it would have happened regardless.
I almost wanted to do solo black belt, but I'm like, yeah, no one's gonna do that.
At that point, I would have had to drop the comms. There is no way I'm staying up for solo black belt.
Yeah, Darkmoon has said, oh, black belt white mage. I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Right, so Darkmoon level 40 is about to walk in, punch a crack in 1, get on out of there. Luffy is already in Sea Shrine, digging his way through some waters on the last possible tile.
Yeah, I got scared. I got scared because mine, the 3 water tile encounter was right after Kraken. and I did healed. I think I healed after Kraken, but those water really punched hard and got me down to almost 300 HP. So I got a little scared.
That's my only
nice.
complaint about this part. It's just like, please let me run, please.
Mm-hmm.
I think the black belt had less than had like minus luck as a blessing.
Yeah, -5.
-5, yeah.
Wasn't too bad. I got a lot of preemptive strikes, which helped a lot.
Oh well, but I sure didn't.
Luffy at 45, taking no chances here in Topher. I cannot wait for something to just randomly take him out.
Random zap.
Yeah, just something we haven't seen. Swings in with a 3 and 256. I think at 45 it actually does wind up getting to 3 and 236.
It's low enough.
I don't know if it's 45 or 46 that the black belt is considered max. Throwing up these fades, just wasting our time. Hit wait. What are we doing here? Punching down at Tiamat, that's what we're doing here. Moving along. Luffy taking the superior path left around Chaos's room. Healing up Chanigan, healing up Luffy. I'm just a 0, I see. That's nice.
I never noticed Luffy's name.
He thinks very highly of himself. He has to be the black belt. I'm not even counting this. At this point, Chaos is going down unless we see something bizarre come out of it. Nope, that's not bizarre. There's 2 hits. We're done. Good game, LuffyDV. With a 115 and change. Not going into race time on this one, but joined in the booth by Luffy. How are you?
Hi.
Hi. Excited for game 3?
I'm excited for game 3, with a little bit less stupid this time.
Now, when you're saying that, are we referring to the Black Belt White Mage or decisions that you made along the way?
A bit of both, mostly my fault.
Where do you think that was?
Everywhere. In the first 35 minutes was just terrible. Everything about it. That ice cave was terrible, bad decisions. I'm like, I found the eye. I'm like, oh, cool, we can do this. This is pretty easy. Let me just do this real quick and get the black belt online. I don't have a lot of items, but no big deal. And then like 7 turns in, when the black belt was doing like 20, 30 damage with the iron stick, Blizzard came out and wiped me. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So let me just get this item and get out of here. And then right before the drop down, Wizards killed me. And then the next time I go in, I'm like, well, let me check one more trap tile. And I see the Agama that has sleep touch and kills me. I'm like, well, all of these decisions were very bad. So let's just triple and quadruple down on it and just get out of here. And then the crystal turned into nothing, and it was even more sad.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
You see, if you went to Volcano first.
I did. That's the thing. I went to Volcano. I saw the blue dragon. I don't know how much HP it had. I heard you took that.
Not even
instead.
300.
Yeah, you know what? I must have just missed out then, because I hit it with 2 harm 3s and like a couple of swings before it died. And I'm like, all right, this thing's at like 400 or 500 HP. That would have been a much better idea.
It was pretty good for me.
I heard. I was wondering how you did that with the eye doing what it did, but that makes a lot more sense now.
I never saw the eye.
I'm not surprised. After a 300 HP blue dragon, that would have been a much better time.
So, Dark Moon, finally in Topher, having just taken a blue dinosaur, which, go back in the broadcast, I told you would be there. We knew it. We have a Lich 2 going down in one punch again. Dark Moon also choosing the correct path around Chaos's floor. Going left.
Wow.
Harry goes down.
I think I'm the only one that goes right.
No, there's a few of you out there.
Must be
Blasphemers.
Canadian or something. I don't know.
Fire 2 comes out. We've seen this show before. Kraken goes down.
Apparently Kraken had nuclear for Dark Moon.
Kraken had nuclear for everyone. You didn't get a chance to see it because you were so angry you punched it so hard.
That's fair.
Lit 2 comes out. 10 hits and some damage. I don't know, but probably another one of those, and we're moving on. Hey, we're moving on. Level 43 black belt. Do we not have heal potions, or are we just so tired?
I think he's just angry.
Oh, I don't think he's angry. I think he's having fun with this. taking that black belt up to 42. Darkmoon was in a really good position for a lot of this match relative to the two of you. I'm curious, thinking back, where that might have fallen off. Probably in the hunting for a war mech for the sake of it. But outside of that, I think that this play has been really solid, actually. What are we thinking here? Oh, that's just lag. We're not thinking that hard. It's just lag. And all of a sudden, chaos is down. There we go. Good game to DarkmoonEX.
GG's.
Fourth on stream, but still under 80 minutes. And it seems like we're joined in the booth here with Darkmoon. So, welcome. Good game. How you doing? If we decide to unmute.
We can't hear you.
Nope, still doesn't want to talk to me. All right. Heard it here first, folks. Darkmoon, man of few words.
Nobody wants to talk to you, in fairness.
Trying to unmute himself. There we go. Now we hear you.
Okay, good. My Discord loves to be like, oh, you don't have your microphone like set up. I'm going to ignore it even when you plug it in. So
it happens.
Like, it sees it. It just doesn't let me talk.
So now your opportunity to talk. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, the second I lost, I was just like, whatever. Let's just go do stupid then.
How are you feeling about the party choice and just kind of how it played?
I kind of started it.
I can't be mad. It was my fault.
You both suck.
I said, "Do you
My
want
pleasure.
a Chanigan?" Said yes, and that was that. We were stuck with it.
I mean, it was an idea that existed. I just kind of went along with it too. So.
It's true.
I thought I was doing really well because I actually made the eye grind work. Apparently, there was blue Ds, and I just totally whiffed that play.
Everybody did except Chanigan.
Yeah, there were a lot of things to do and a lot of nasty to have seen. So, unfortunately, sometimes the seeds just do that to you.
I thought my strat was pretty good. Once I saw how gross those eyes were, get like 2 or 3 more levels up top, then go in so I have the health for it, and then I can grind the eyes, and that worked really well, honestly. It just wasn't as fast as, like, piddly blue Ds, apparently. Okay, sure.
A decent position for most of the race. I remember you stopped by Ordeals and bonked off the chair there, and then sort of stood there going, "Where haven't I turned in?" And I'm like screaming at the screen, like, "Talk to the sages! You can do this."
Well, that's the thing. I went to Earthgame and I'm like, okay, as soon as I'm done here, go talk to the sages. But then I was done. I'm like, okay, I'm on focus mode now. What do you do when you're done with this? And normally sages are done. I don't remember visiting Crescent Lake. Normally you don't bounce off the Ordeals play because we have this off. These flags are mean. So I did the play that I would do in co-op, which has always been an Ordeals, and then I'm sitting there going, dang it.
Hey, high five. I bonked off Ordeals too.
Because you and I are the same. Always been on Ordeals.
Exactly.
It is awkward to have those flags off when you are so used to some other stuff.
Yeah, so, and then at that point I was sitting there going, well, if Chanigan got a good grind, then I've obviously lost at this point. But I didn't expect to lose by nearly as much as I did, so.
I think some of that would have been mitigated had you not kind of hunted for the war mech, for example.
Oh, no. I mean,
just sort of playing around.
If I'd played it straight and not gone for the war mech hunt, I would have shaved 7 minutes or so, but was still nowhere close to Chanigan's time. So
it's when luck and opportunity come together.
Yeah, it's fine.
Chanigan.
Like, I'm not mad. I was just like, well, I'm here. Let's just go punch a war mech because it's funny.
So because of your choices to take a black belt white mage, this lasted far longer than I intended. So I'm going to go straight to closing thoughts, if you don't mind. And we'll go with Chanigan, our first on-stream runner and winner tonight.
GG's Darkmoon, GG's Luffy and Duskplume. Thank you, Shum, for doing commentary, even though it was
not a
forced
problem.
black belt. Let's say that. Thank you, Sunflash, for restreaming. Thank you for watching, and yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like doing these these silly things with the party and such, and I got my Tor hammer as the incentive, so I'm happy with that.
Fog 2 hammer, that was pretty brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have Duskmoon as number 2.
Thanks,
Did I say
Shubhavi,
Duskplume
for
or Duskmoon? I'm sorry, Duskplume.
you said that's fine. Darkplume, Duskmoon, whatever. Thank you for calling this race. Thank you, Sunflash. Thank you, J-Lo. Thanks everybody for watching. Luffy, Game 3, White Mage solo.
Okay. Not coming that one.
I mean, we can talk about this. I'm intrigued.
So, Luffy, your opportunity to talk.
Well, it's all been said. Thank you, everybody, for doing this. Thank you, FFR for hosting us. Thank you, Shum, for doing comms. Thank you, everybody. This was fun in the most terrible kind of way. I really enjoy Black Belts normally, but this was just not my night. Duskplume will chat, and maybe Thief White Mage. I think I could get aboard with.
All right, so there you have it. White Mages in Game 3, and then Darkmoon. Closing thoughts.
Oh, I had a delight with this because it was stupid and everyone signed on for it, so I thought it was great. This is all I wanted it to be, so that's fine. Other than that, I'm out. Like, this is my last game for Speed Gaming Live at this year, so I get, or at least the online tournament, so I get to go plan Fall League and contemplate a marathon after this.
Sounds good.
It'll be fun. Yeah.
All right.
Have fun, guys.
Well, thank you to all of our runners for putting on quite the Speed Gaming Live online mega race. Thank you to Sunflash for the restream. Thank you to J-Lo for tracking, and Danny also for hopping in on that. And thank you for FFR hosting this channel. And thank you all for viewing and watching and enjoying this misery with me tonight. I love you all. Have a wonderful evening, and hopefully we'll see you around for Game 3, to be determined as to when. Good night, everyone.